What's up, you guys? Hey, bro.
Come on, man.
Hey, we about to do this thing, man.
Yes.
I'm so excited with this interview, man. My brother, Pastor Cameron Logan, and man, I've seen some phenomenal things, how God has progressed his life, and now, being a husband, and as the Lord says the same when he becomes a father, that legacy continues on. I'm excited about what God is about to do today, bro.
Hey, man, we here, so I'm excited. Hey, guys, keep on watching. We'll be back in just a second. Remember, love, love.
Boom.
So we're back. It is so good to be able to bring this video to you guys. What's up, my brother, Pastor Willie? And we got with us today, man, the man of the hour. Man, this is so awesome to be here, man. We are with Pastor Cameron Logan from Christian Faith Fellowship Church. Man, this young man he on another level, man. Did y'all know this dude can sing? Can we start out there?
Yeah. We can start out there.
This guy can, man. If y'all haven't watched, y'all need to watch him because this guy can sing. He can put it down, man. Where'd your voice come from, man?
It's funny. It's literally funny. My parents and people around me, they discovered that I could sing because I'm a jokester and I would mock different people.
Oh, wow.
And I was walking through the hallway and I was mocking, I can't remember who it was. I think it was either John P. Key or like Smokey Norfolk or something. And my dad was in the office and he came out, he was like, do that again. He's like, boy, you can sing. And then my mom she been bribing me to sing ever since. And I never, ever wanted to sing.
Right.
I used to play drums and I would be in that cage, just be behind the scenes. So, singing was like a very like dreadful thing for me to do. It's like, I'll do it, in the comfort of my own, in the shower and stuff like that. But yeah, so that's how it started, and it wasn't always as, I guess, refined as people may think it is now. I had some ugly times where they would call me up and I would like be up there like.
Well, I tell you what, man, man, God has anointed you, man.
Yes.
I'm watching, I'm like, man, he's doing it. And I just thank God for being able to, see then and then see now. It's just amazing. But that's a good segue into our series that we're going to do here. You're going to see several episodes coming out, but we're going to start talking to pastors' kids, what we call PKs, right? And so Cameron is actually our first PK that we're actually interviewing. And so we're going to get into some questions, guys. Listen real good because this is coming from the heart of a PK.
All right, so being a PK, understand that he's a PK of our pastor, of all of our pastors.
Yes.
Not only his father, but our pastor.
Our pastor.
Bishop Edward James Logan. He
Love
was like,
Bishop.
man, I don't use this whole government name.
It's
but
good.
you know what? Y'all already know for those who've been paying attention to anything you've heard Pastor Trey and I mention and reference our bishop quite a few times.
Yes.
And we have the honor to sit here today to interview our brother. It means so much to me. So I'm going to try to hold it together. But we're going to have a good time today, man. Welcome again.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, welcome, brother. All right. I'm going to go ahead and start. So
Get started.
my first question is, are there any perceived advantages or disadvantages to being a PK, being a pastor's kid? Any perceived advantages that you know of? Like
Disadvantages, this is funny. So my wife and I'm married to a PK. So one of the disadvantages I would say growing up is, when you wanted to start dating, you wanted to, we all as young men.
He going in.
Go in, baby.
You know what I'm saying? I was a fairly decent looking guy and you like girls and stuff. And then they start asking you like, why are you at church all the time? And so then you get labeled the church kid.
I love it.
You get labeled the church
it.
boy.
Right.
And like that's like a turnoff if you trying to be foul.
Right.
Trying to sneak and do different stuff.
Yeah.
And so
we're gonna be real
then you
today.
got that you got that target on your back.
Right.
So there's a disadvantage.
Okay.
So that's the disadvantage of me being a young man, young adolescent, growing up, going through, the stages of becoming a young man, feeling different things in your body that you never felt before.
Right.
And you want to act on those things even though you've been in the church. Right. So that's just one aspect. Then we go to the church side. A disadvantage is people in the church expect you to be baby Jesus.
Come on, man. Wait, come on.
So what do you mean by they expect you to be baby Jesus?
They expect me to live a life without sin, without flaw, without error. And
you couldn't do that?
Yeah, but I mean, isn't that like one of the requirements to being a pastor's kid?
Right.
This word that you're hearing?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, my life is to do exactly everything that God has called and commissioned me to do as a young kid. I don't know this stuff.
Right.
Yeah, my dad talks about it all the time. A young man, as they're growing up, their pleasure center is developed first, whereas young women, they mature faster because their knowledge is the rear part of their brain is developed first. So our frontal lobe, pleasure, fun, entertainment, we want to do that.
But when you get like the oil poured on you every day at home, so that it'll stop that, like them urges, you know, because I thought, a pastor kid, you wake up in the morning. You know how some kids that work, they live on a farm, they get up in the morning at like 4:30 in the morning, they go do the farm stuff. I thought you got up like 4:30, the family got together and they would just pour oil on you before you go to school, so you was good.
Well, Dad did have a saying every single morning before I went to school. He had a saying. I'm not gonna tell y'all. Maybe I should, so y'all can use it on y'all kids.
Yeah.
But it was definitely, get up in the morning, do your devotion, pray. Have you, what God's saying to you. Remember who you are.
That's right.
Boom, go out.
Come on.
And really just understand what you're doing. Be safe, be smart, be wise. But that doesn't stop you from being tempted.
Right.
You either you recognize it's hard for young kids, like even as a kid, you don't necessarily know like, oh, there's a call of God on my life.
Right.
You just a kid.
Yep.
But then you may have that realization like I kind of did as an early teen where, I would have friends, and that's a whole nother thing. I would have friends that they could do something 10 times worse, and I would like do a portion of what they did.
Right.
And their parents would tell my parents like, oh my God, Cameron, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like,
I love it, man.
but he went the whole way. I just did a portion of what he did.
Yeah.
And so,
That's good.
you got the world labeling you, and then you got people that's supposed to understand you expecting
In the church.
way too much of you that they don't even expect from their own kids.
That can be hard. What's some advantages? Like, can you think of any, when you think back to being a young person in church, your dad being the pastor, your mom being the pastor, where you're like, man, I'm so glad,
Well, I guess
it was a good thing.
Well, not I guess. I know for a fact, me being a PK and having other PKs reach out to me because I have a heart for PKs is I'm blessed to have grown up in a healthy church.
Yeah, that's good.
Like the older I get, the more I realize there are a lot of PKs. The reason why they are the way they are is because their parents may have preached one thing Sunday and Wednesday, but lived something totally different at home.
Come on.
I'm blessed because when I came home, my dad was my dad, but he was still a man of God.
Right.
He didn't, when I got home, he wasn't cussing me out. He wasn't treating my mama like crap. He wasn't, you know what I'm saying? When I came home from school, he wanted to make sure he was at home because like we know, your first ministry,
to your house.
even if you're a pastor and you're a bishop over 700 churches and you got 50 million members, your first ministry is at home. And this is where a lot of my, my brothers and sisters that are PKs, they struggle because you preaching and spending time with Reverend Elder so-and-so's cat that got stuck in a tree, but you won't spend no time with me. And so I'm blessed because my parents, they poured into us more than just, scriptures, like they spent time with us. Like my dad played with me, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah, that's good.
I love what you said, if I could go back when you were talking about the disadvantages, but in really you in the midst of the disadvantage, you brought out the advantage.
Right.
you talked about how every day that Bishop said to you, remember who you are. See, because a lot of men are missing out, you know, especially girls too, but a lot of men are missing out who they are. I had to work through that. Having lost my father at 3 years old, I had to work through that. So you are so blessed to be able to have that father saying, remember who you are. And then you were able to tap back into that as you grew older, because I love your transparency. They were talking about how they assumed that you was baby Jesus. I got a chance to see some of those things when I was here. But I love the fact that how now you're a father, you know, soon to be a father, whenever God allows that to happen, but also as a husband, and you're able to come together and have the heart for PK. So man, I admire that.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, for me, life is about balance. One thing I love about my dad is we have balance. You know, in the morning, you better not be watching TV before you did devotion and talk to God, because you're gonna hear about it. So you might as well do what you're supposed to do.
Right.
And then after that, man, we can have all the fun we want in the world. So we had that balance. I was able to play sports. But once again, your grades got to be like, if you want to compete and do, your grades got to be right. So he continued to preach balance, and he showed me balance. I would see, you know, him and his friends enjoying life and having fun, but there's balance. And so one of the things that I see that PK struggled with is they never saw balance within their parents.
So they leave home for the first time. Everything was church, strict, right? And then they leave home and they just, wow. And I'm gonna get it in.
And it's not even, I'm trying to not to say too much. It's not even that. It's
say what
not
you
even
need to
that.
say, but
this
you don't have
bro's
to say
real.
the name.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's bro's real, but you know.
Right. I got you.
There's people that I, love and care about. Whereas church. But the parents, in trying to, I guess, make up for time not spent, they would allow their kids to do things that like are contradictory to who they are.
Wow.
So you're allowing your kids to engage in a culture that is counter Christianity. And then when they get older, now you scratching your head because your children are causing you pain or making you look bad. And so, I started seeing this stuff early.
Right.
My dad would tell me, like, we would have what's considered like real talk conversations.
Right.
All right, son, be real, don't lie. And we have real talk conversations. And then he would tell me real stuff that was going on with, ministry leaders and even big name preachers, and just kind of, peeling the onion back. I won't, when God continues to develop me into all he wants me to be, and I come into certain, circles and things of that sort, and I meet these people, I'm not shocked.
Right.
Because my dad already exposed me and warned me about some of these things. And it's like,
wow,
you grow up and it's like, bro, like, you gotta have balance.
Yeah.
Come on.
And you can't be up in front of however many people it is preaching this, and then you go home and you allow your kids to do whatever, but you're not pouring into them.
Right.
And you're thinking by you letting them do what they want to do, that you're being a good parent, and really you're hurting them more than helping them.
That sounds like Eli and his sons. But look, so when you talk about your parents, Pastor Deborah, Bishop Logan, and their upbringing, and how, you had that life balance, and Bishop ensured that, devotion was done in the morning and all that. So as you're getting older, can you kind of explain to us, I get that your parents are pastors, and that's awesome, right? But when was the day when you knew, like, I'm gonna do this, I'm making this commitment myself, and I'm doing this for the rest of my life? Like, ministry is life. I'm serious about Jesus. Like, it ain't about, I love mom and dad, but Cameron Logan, man, I'm part of the kingdom.
Yeah, that's a great question. That's a great question, because, that's what a lot of my generation, millennials and even Gen Zers, they have what's called deconstructing. So you got kids that grew up in church, and their parents taught them one thing, or the church they were in taught them one thing, and then they get older and like, bro, that is not what the Bible meant. And so they're deconstructing their faith to try to develop their own faith. That's in a sense what they're doing. Some are doing it in a negative connotation, and they're getting off into universalism and spiritualism. That's a whole nother topic. But for me, it was, me being in college at Full Sail University. My grades were good up until this one particular class. It was like a computer science class, and in the accelerated program that I was in, if you got a C, you fail that class.
Wow.
So I had a 72,
Right.
or a 71. I needed a 72, and so it was gonna push my graduation date back. And my heart was pounding out my chest because I know I gotta call my dad and tell my dad that I didn't fail this class.
Right.
And I called him. It's my dad. It's my guy. I called him, and tears in my eyes, crying, heart beating outside of my body.
Right.
And I'm like, man, Dad, like I failed, man, and I didn't. And I was like, I didn't mean to let you down. I don't want to let you down.
Wow.
And he's like, he just said it so calm. He brought this up to me the other day. He said it so calm. He didn't cuss me out. He didn't berate me. He didn't go in on me. He said, son, he's like, I'm proud of you. He's like, he's like, don't always try to make it that you don't want to make us look bad. He's like, you're a child of God.
Right.
And he's like, now handle your business, do what you got to do. And, just give it your all, give it your best. God made a way. My graduation date wasn't pushed back. They gave me 3 classes. Typically, you'd only had 2 a month. Right. They gave me 3 classes that month, and I aced all those classes. And it was just like a reminder, like, man, like my dad loves me for me and not how I perform.
Right.
And a lot of us mess up because we're basing our love for people on how they perform in our lives, instead of just loving them just to love them. And then a part of that was, me really wanting to serve God on my own was, I did go to college. I did move away from home, which I could not wait to do. And when you move away, that's when you can really see what's in you.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
And you really see what's in you. And so it's like, of course I love God. Me and my best friend at the time, we was trying to find a church, and it was a bunch of like Presbyterian churches and other churches that we went to. It was like, this ain't it.
Right.
This ain't it. So we didn't go to church for a while, and they would send us DVDs from home. Right. And so, you really get to do what's right in your own eyes when you don't have that constant voice, on a week-to-week basis. And so I got into some things, girls, and it was one night. I tell this story all the time. I'm very transparent. I was at the edge of my bed after, being with someone, and I was like, I woke up in the middle of the night and I was crying. I was like, this ain't it.
Right.
Because I literally felt God's presence leave me.
Right.
And I felt like David in Psalm 51. I was like, God, cast me not away from your presence.
Right.
Come on.
Don't take your spirit away from me.
Right.
I think it was even before that. I think I had came to church and they asked me to sing, and like that was like the first time I had never, I didn't feel the anointing.
Wow.
I didn't feel anything, and I was like, oh no, I can't live like this. I can't live like this. And I prayed, tears in my eyes, at the edge of my bed in my college apartment, and I said, God, I'll do whatever you want me to do, but I don't want to live a life without you.
Come on.
And from that moment forward, I was like 20. From that moment forward, it was a couple months before my graduation, I made up in my mind that I was going to live for God. As much as, you don't want to be a part of ministry. As a PK, there is some bitterness there. It's like, I don't want to be a part of this. Like, I don't want to come back. I love my family so much. Right. I came back home. I was going to get another degree just so I could stay away from church.
Right.
I was like, man, God was just pulling on my heartstrings.
Yeah.
I came back home. I was like, I don't want to be back here. I don't want to be in Lake County. I don't want to be a part of ministry. I don't want to preach, because everybody especially when my dad became a bishop, everybody want to call me Little Bishop. Like, stop doing that to people.
Right.
Call them what their name is.
Right.
Like, stop putting stuff on people, because if I start calling you little mother, well, I'm too young to, well, how you think I feel?
Right. Come on.
So just call me by my name, and if you feel that God is telling you to give me a word, okay, keep it to yourself until you feel 17 confirmations.
Right.
And so, like, without going off on a tangent,
that's good. You was like into my next question.
Yeah, that's one of the things that kept you committed.
Yeah.
That experience kept you committed. Mm-hmm. And that, to me, you was able to have a true encounter. Absolutely. And it
That's
wasn't
what it's all about.
Just a performance. It wasn't just going through the motions. You wasn't walking on Bishop's or Pastor Deborah's relationship. That relationship that God had already been cultivating in you, going back to what Bishop had been speaking over your life. Remember who you are. Mm-hmm. Although you knew who you were, you allowed yourself to get into a situation, but it's almost not even just like how certain situations in the Bible, but almost, and again, like the prodigal son, you came to yourself. You remembered, wait a minute, I am Cameron Logan. I came from great stock, but also I am a man of God. So God, you say, I ain't living like this. Okay, God, don't take your presence away from me. So now God, okay, thank you for your grace, your mercy, all that stuff that Dad and Mom talked about, and the men and women of God. Okay, now I can apply this thing to my life. But a lot of pastors' kids, they'll have those experiences and they'll keep on going. But you was able to really understand who you were, because again, all those years, the Bible says faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. And I tell people all the time, like you said, being very transparent, I tell people all the time, when I was coming to Christian faith, when we were over at the school, I was still hoeing around, but it was the word. I had to keep coming back. And it wasn't until that thing really got a hold of me, I realized, I'm like, wait a minute, just like you.
Come on.
I'm better than this crap.
Yeah.
But man, that's good, Cam.
Yeah, it's you in that moment, the majority of my life, growing up being a PK, having, at the peak of our membership, 2,000 plus people attending on a regular basis. You probably ask this later, but going through several sets of different best friends, because people come to the church, they don't get what they think they want, they leave. So now your best friend is gone. And now, you got a new best friend for the next, 2 to 4 years. Right. Then they leave. So now you're dealing with constant people coming in and out of your life because you're a church baby.
Right.
So the majority of your relationships are built and formed in the church.
Come on now.
In here,
And people don't realize that. A lot of members don't realize that. And I will tell you this, my son, man, my youngest son, when we were in Okinawa, pastor in Okinawa, he had a breakdown. And it really didn't hit home for me until my son pulled me to the side, man. I mean, crying like a baby, man, hurting. And he was just saying, Dad, everybody leaves. I'm like, what are you getting at? Dad, everybody leaves, they come and they go. Because over there, the turnover rate is like, you got people coming in, they leaving. And my son was hurting because he built these relationships and then people are gone. And you don't think that because it hurts the pastor, man, because you would love to hold on to everybody, but you don't realize sometimes how much it affects your children. And my son he had the same thing going on. He was like, Dad, he was ready to come back to the States. He was like, I'm missing family. These people don't understand. I don't see my grandma. I don't see my cousins. We all over here, and then the people we do get close to, they either hurt us or they leave or something, and it's like, so your kids, they deal with a lot. PKs deal with a lot. They deal with a lot.
That's why I have such a heart for PKs, because people just, the world look at it as like, oh, like, it's like, they basically in their minds is branded as like Girls Gone Wild, but like for kid, like PK, preacher's kids. It's like, oh man, yeah, such and such son, he wild. Well, why?
Right.
Well, like, let's dig into why.
Right.
Well, like, you came and you were still jacked up.
Right.
And you became a part of their family, their inner circle for 3.5 years.
Right.
And then you left and did some foul stuff.
Right.
Well, what effect do you think that had on little Johnny?
Say it, man.
Yeah, okay. And then 15 more people did the same thing.
Come on. So, and me and my wife, we talk about that all the time, man. It's like, you know, people don't see that part, except if they're mature, you know, then they understand, hey, you know, pastors, you know, I got to be there for him, be there for his family, stuff like that. But then you have a lot, man. You know, church is a healing hospital, right? So you got so many different people coming in. But I want to ask this question if I can, and then Pastor Willie. But I was thinking about last night about a lot of the sermons that I remember being here, hearing Bishop preach and how they affected my life. Is there any, what's the fondest memories you have of Pastor Deborah and Bishop of ministry? What's the fondest moment that you had where you were like,
I'm trying to get me in trouble.
I mean, there's a lot. Just, you know, if you just had to just choose one, what would it be?
For me, just because my family, like, we kind of like reiterated, was Bishop Tudor Bismarck came to the church.
Wow.
And
That for a while.
he prophesied to me, any guest that we had, you, as a PK, you gonna get prophesied to. And you know, some of those prophecies, you know, I was in trouble. I was on the front row, so I already knew it was coming. But this particular one, Bishop Tudor, he prophesied to me, and he gave me a powerful word. And it's one of the ones that I remember. I used to watch it all the time as a kid. Put the VHS tape in, and I'd be in my room and I would just watch it. And so that's, you know, one of my fondest memories was, you know, Bishop Tudor. Just preaching. I guess another one would be Bob Harrison. My parents used to go to Hawaii. We actually were privileged to go with them for like 4 or 5 years in a row.
Right.
And Bob Harrison came back here, and like he preached a word, and like we paid off both buildings like that day.
Come on.
wait a minute.
Come on. I love that.
Okay, so he preached.
He preached. And it wasn't no Pentecostal.
Right.
Yeah. No. He taught the word, but the power of God was so strong, and he charged people's faith, and we paid off like the remaining balance done.
And see, it's amazing. I'm just like not shocked, but I'm just like, wow, you just said that, because I remember being in Okinawa, and the timing for Bishop to come over and visit was right on time, man. Right. And Bishop came, and none of us knew. I didn't know what he was going to teach on. I wasn't even expecting really to be able to come, because they were on a missions trip going to the Philippines. And Bishop preached a message, and that message changed the hearts of so many people in our ministry. That you talking about the giving and the people coming into the altar crying and repenting, and it changed everything. So I know exactly what you're talking about, man. The Word of God does a mighty work in people. If it's delivered exactly like God wants it to, it can do some mighty things. But that's good. I remember stuff about Tudor Bismarck too as well.
Yeah, you brought that up quite a few times.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, Cam. If you had an opportunity, one chance to speak to the global church about PKs, what would you say to them? You had the platform. Let's just say all of the channels were blocked out and everything was focused on you, and you were specifically able to share globally to the church concerning PKs. Because like you said, you have a heart for PKs.
I would say, Pastor Trey said it earlier, the church is a hospital. You don't reject people that need help in the hospital. Well, you didn't used to.
Right. Yeah. We just talked about that yesterday, right?
I love it.
You better have that vaccine. They ain't seen it.
I love it.
You didn't used to.
Yeah.
And because the church is a hospital, we focus on the quote unquote sinners that need help.
Right.
But we don't realize elders need prayer and support.
That's right.
Your youth pastor, your children's pastor, the usher board. Like we don't think about the people that are actively involved in ministry, because typically the people that are most active in ministry need the most help in prayer, because they're constantly dealing with the sick and hurting people. But we're all here to hear the word, to be transformed, to have our hearts renewed, to have generational curses broken and cycles destroyed. It's the same thing with the PKs.
Right.
They're attending the church, and oftentimes they're dealing with the burdens of their parents, along with the burdens of their own lives.
And a lot of people don't know what they've heard. You know, they don't know that the PK may have heard those cries in the middle of the night. You know, man, my dad is hurting, or my mom is hurting. You know, they dealing with this or whatever. Or the PK. Look, one thing I realized, you know, early on was that when I was doing youth ministry is that kids will be honest.
Absolutely.
Kids don't fake the funk. A lot of times, you know, we can come to church and adults, they know how to put the smile on and the pretend mask and all that kind of stuff. But the teenagers and stuff, they would get us down in youth ministry, they'd tell the truth. They'd be just honest, you know. And when I grew up in church, man, my father wasn't a pastor, but I was in church, man. We was there 7 days a week. And I remember, man, I told this story yesterday about there was this guy that we would see on the block. When we were teenagers, we would go to a place where we would get wings in the middle at night, you know, late at night, probably 11 o'clock at night. And there was this guy, we called him the local wino. He would be there, man, and he would always be drunk and stuff. But then we saw him at church on Sunday, and he was the guest pastor.
No way.
But all the teenagers knew, but none of the adults knew, because we just happened to know because we were seen but our pastor had brought him in. And I always think about that today, like, why did the parents or why did the adults not know, or was it that they didn't care? Because all the kids now, we teenagers, so we in the back like, are they serious? This dude, and I mean, he was up there and he preached a sermon, he sang, whatever. That next Friday, he was back at Mr. G's on the block, wings, he drunk, you know, and everybody saw that. So a lot of times the kids, you know, we're back and we're saying, see, what y'all saying, y'all ain't living. What y'all saying, y'all not doing.
I'm gonna piggyback off that. I don't know what to correct. Please, I feel like the Apostle Paul. I implore you, brethren, by the mercies of God,
Come on.
live right. I'm not talking about the kids right now. I'm talking about like you adults that are watching. Live right, because your kids are more impacted by how you live than what you say.
Come on.
That's true.
And see,
That's true.
I love it that you said that, because that brings me into my next question, if I may.
Amen.
Of course, you know, Bishop released me to be the first youth minister. You were down there. You seen me, not only down there, but you got a chance to see me because I come to your house, cut your hair, and cut your dad's hair. Now that you've ascended, you know, and I say that humbly, you know, you've ascended now as not only as the youth pastor, but also as the executive pastor, right? Assistant pastor. So looking back now, you're Pastor Cameron Logan. What would you say to the teenage Cameron Logan?
Come on.
Now, having seen the things that you've seen, you know, because man, I'm telling you, it means a lot to me.
Good question.
Yeah,
man.
for me, I would say be confident in who you are. I struggled with insecurity so bad as a kid, because you got, you know, your best friend's parents wanting you to do this, and then you got your parents wanting you to do this, and then you got stuff that you want to do, and you have so many voices and people wanting you to be different things, and then you go to school and you think you need to fit in with them, and then you come to church, and then, you know, you the PK, so you're getting all the attention by being a PK, and it's like, man, like, for myself, I struggled and battled with so many thoughts of who I really am, and now me being a 31-year-old assistant pastor, still, you know, learning what all this means. It's like, I am now walking in the boldness and the confidence that I wish I had years ago. Because God knows everything. God does all things well, all things in his timing. But I feel like my dad has this quote that he says, it's from someone else, but he says, how much powerful or how farther along will we be if we only believe what God said about us?
Ooh. Come on.
I had so many.
Can you say that again?
Yeah.
How much farther along or how powerful would we really be if we only believe what God said about us?
Only believe what God said about
Believe
us.
what God said.
Come on.
There's a quote that I say is, some of us are oppressed by the opinions of other people, so we don't walk in our true and divine authority because you're battling. Now we have social media, so you say one wrong thing, you got 700 people that don't even know you, from a cup of Kool-Aid trying to tell you, oh, you're this and you're that and you're this and you're that. It's like, you don't even know me. What if we only believe what God said about us? So 31-year-old Cam would tell young Cam, be who God called you to be. Like, block out the other voices. Don't try to be something you're not. I tried to cuss and I tried to be a thug and I tried to wear baggy clothes. And it's like, dude, you little short, little light-skinned dude. You're not a thug. You're not hard.
Right.
You're not a player. You're not any of those things that you tried to be cool, when really you were already cool with being how God created you.
Right.
So if you just walk in your authority and being who you are, then you would have had a deeper impact, at an earlier age. So, yeah.
So when you think back to high school and all that, all the people, you talk about people coming in and people leaving or whatever, is there any best friend or anybody that's still around? Like who's that person? Because I know being here, when I was here, Bishop used to always hold the men's fellowships, and he always talked about, men having that guy, that other guy, because a lot of times women will have that person that they can share things with, that it stays between them. Do you have that person? Or has that person been somebody from high school that's been your friend for a long time?
No. Just, simply put, no. I know them all. When I see them, I say hi, things of that sort. As far as like in the ministry, who used to be no. And it's sad, but it's like the young people have adapted the systems of their parents. Like when you lead a church, it's like, oh, we can't talk. Like, bro.
Wow. That's crazy.
If I see you at Walmart, like, I'm going to say hi.
Right.
And I'm going to like legit be happy. It's not, I'm not going to fake.
It's not fake, right.
See you, or like when I see you, I'm not going to run.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to come speak to you.
Yeah.
And, I see, old, saints and members, I'm probably going to get in trouble.
No, that's real though.
And
that's
I
real.
see them at the corner of my eye, and I hit over and boom, they gone.
Right.
Like, dude, you don't got, like, I'm not going to judge you or prophesy or go back and report. That's another, like, people think that you're going to report to your parents what they doing. Bro, trust me, they already see you.
Right.
I don't need to tell them anything. Right. They see you.
Yeah.
Come on, help now, there are PKs who we forge relationships, guest preachers and stuff like that came to the church. So my boy Donovan, like, we still connect. We may not talk every day, but like we know. Yeah. A lot of the PKs, we may not be like super tight, right, but they know they can hit me anytime, like, because it's a bond of brotherhood, and sisterhood, because this life ain't easy.
Mm-hmm. Come on, we should be doing life together, believers, but that's easier said than done. That's one thing. Even now at this stage in my life, that's still something I'm understanding. Like, me loving you has nothing to do with you, right? But reconciliation of relationships, or us being in a relationship, is a mutual thing, right? And I had to learn that over time, because my thing was, man, if we believers, man, there's no reason we can't reconcile. We can't still be brothers and walk together and love each other, all that, and build each other's house and go out. That's not necessarily true. Now, my love for you, I'm gonna have love for you, and I can't control, your love, that love coming back, but I'm gonna love you. There's nothing you can do about it. Yeah. But when it comes to the relationship and reconciling and being together, doing life together, that has to be a mutual. How can two walk together unless they be agreed, right? You got a question, Pastor Willie?
I do.
I could tell.
You said a lot. Mm-hmm. You said a lot. I try to listen. You said a whole lot. If you could, please elaborate a little bit more about the impact of the relationships that the parents don't understand how they're affecting their children when they walk away from this is my church or whatever, because those bonds.
Yeah.
Because when you sit here and say, and again, I had a lot of friends that wasn't in church. I'm 49 years old and I did 24 years in the military. And I still have some great close relationships with some of my friends in high school.
Yep.
And for you to say, and again, that's real.
Yeah.
But to me, it goes back to those people who would say, oh, this is my church, this is my church, this is my church. And then they leave not understanding the impact that it's making on the children.
Come on.
Because you're building a relationship. You ain't bothering the parents. You're just being a child. But also, like you were talking about how Emmanuel was affected.
He was. Mm-hmm.
But see, I wish that you would take the time, if you would, Cam, to explain to parents and even help some of the pastors' kids and even some of the youth how to process that, man.
Can I add to that too?
Yeah.
Because when you talk about Emmanuel, when parents they have kids and they're part of the church or whatever, being very mindful of what they say
Yes.
about ministry leaders.
Yes.
Or because kids hear some things,
Yeah.
and I'm not talking about PKs. I'm talking about other kids who've heard something about the church or the pastor or this leader from mom and dad, and now how that affects them when they get older.
Yeah, so I'll backtrack a little bit.
Yeah.
As far as people who used to be my best friend, I don't have any from high school.
Right.
Okay, middle school, any of that sort. Like I said, see them, cordial, cool, right. Stuff like that. Families that came to the church while I was in high school, they're still members to this day. Their parents are elders in the church. They're like, I consider them family. Like, so that goes, that like superseded like French, like their family. Like,
okay.
I'm the godfather of their kids and stuff like that. So yeah, now them,
Yes.
family, and I don't see them going anywhere.
Right.
But as far as me and my wife, we talk about it all the time, and her story is even, more unique and bizarre than mine, because I have a healthy dysfunction with relationships, people coming in and out of my life. So I dealt with, growing up, I didn't even realize it. I'm like counting down, like, okay, when are they gonna leave?
Right.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
See,
That's
but see, that's real.
That's
because
deep.
I'm telling you, my son said that to me in tears. Everybody leaves, Dad. And I was like, what are you talking about?
Right.
He's like, Dad, nobody's gonna stay. Everybody leaves.
And so you grow up without even, when you're a kid, you don't notice, you're not reading books and how to form and forge proper relationships in the kingdom of God. You just know this ain't gonna last real long. And it's sad because as we go back, I was watching a TED talk and they weren't even saved about why people don't know how to have healthy relationships. Not even, male, female, I want to date you and marry you because God told me.
Right.
Whole nother topic. But just healthy relationships, period.
Right.
And it goes back to forging proper relationships. And us as PKs, we go through similar things that kids go through when their parents divorce.
Wow.
When parents divorce, kids grow up with high rates of mental depression, mental instability, anxiety, all kind of mental disorders, because people that you loved so dearly decided that they no longer wanted to be together, not even for the sake of you.
Right.
And so you internalize that, and it's like, well, is there something wrong with me?
Right. Been there.
And so now you have kids who have a healthy home,
Right.
but they don't have friends that can walk with them through life. And it's like, now it's like going to a new school. When we moved from Waukegan to Wadsworth, going to a new school, with predominantly white school, it's like, okay, I got to build new friends.
Right.
And now you got to go through that process. Do that like times 10.
Yep.
You're always going to be seeming like and feeling like the oddball out. And, that's tough for kids who are impressionable, we have a natural desire to want to feel needed and wanted. And when you constantly have parents that connect themselves to a ministry and then 3 years go by and because they didn't get to preach,
Right.
now they're gone.
That's good.
Right.
I like that.
And you just took my best friend.
Yep.
Right.
Come on, man.
We went to, we would have ministry trips where the parents would go to the conference and the kids would stay at the hotel with, one of the, chaperones at that time. She would be like our auntie at the moment, and we'd be jumping on the beds and like those memories stay with you forever.
Come on.
Right.
And now like they gone.
Yeah.
And now then there's another ministry trip that comes along. There's another ministry trip that comes along, and you got a different set of friends that you get, and then another 3 years go by and they didn't get to hold Bishop's briefcase, and now they're gone again. And then 3 years go by, and then you got another set of friends, and because, and it's constantly doing that. So it's like, parents, you got to understand that you're going through small cases of divorce with your children's lives, and it's affecting them mentally.
Because when you peel back the onion all the way, or if you get to the root cause, you do some root cause analysis, it's selfishness. Because everything you just said was, I had my own agenda, right? And that agenda didn't work out. I wasn't kingdom focused, right? I had a personal agenda and it didn't work out. So everybody in my sphere of influence is going to be affected behind that in a negative way, right? And so I just had this thought about different celebrities and all these different people that you find out they started out in the kingdom. They started out in church, and some of their parents were pastors or whatever. And it breaks my heart. And now the world has them and they're singing and making money in the world, doing all this different stuff. And that leads me into you singing, right? And I think I asked you on Sunday, man, when is the album coming out? I don't know if you can talk about that, but I was like, man, it'd be awesome if this guy did a praise CD or something like that. Is that something you contemplating? Is that something you're privy to talk about, or?
Yeah, I mean, so I was online last night, and my wife and my friends, they've been saying the same thing to me for years, and I had like a little worship session on my Instagram last night. That's why I didn't answer your FaceTime. And it was just like, that my wife was like, are you good? And I was like, yeah. She's like, you seem annoyed. And I was like, I am. And at that moment, I was like, man, I need to get to the place where I know, like in God's presence, nothing, gets in the way, because I get consumed. Yeah. Now, even as a kid, I didn't realize this, but I'd be in the shower and just mom knocking on the door, but like I'm in there just going in, worshiping. Didn't realize what it was at that particular moment, but I know, like in God's presence, nothing else matters. And so I just began to worship, and I was telling them, as all the comments come in, you need to have a CD, you need to have a CD. And it's like, number one, I had a frustration because growing up, once I did start to realize that the gift I had was, it was a good gift. So you start doing studio stuff with different people, and they promise you this and they promise you that, and they never, come through on their promise. It's like, okay, now my heart is turned off because I seen this before. Right. Because I done had 17 sets of friends.
Right.
And so, all right, I'm turning that part of openness to you off.
Right.
And so it's like, I go through, a couple years, go to college. Me and my friends, we start like a little, like a gospel boy band. It's called Legacy of David. And we wrote a bunch of songs in college, just would be in the presence of God, and we had no like real, two of us really, or I didn't have any real musical training. Right. And I would just play like what I felt until I can get it right. And over time, like I just developed the skill to play keys, and I would just write these worship songs, and, you know, boy band, you know, quote unquote, didn't work out. And then I just kind of grew up and was like, I don't need this, you know. It's never really anything that I really wanted. And so I just kind of like took that out of my mind and just put that, you know, in the under drawer where all the bags are that you get from the grocery store that you just jumble up and you throw it underneath the sink.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's where it was. But, you know, I'm at a place now where, like I was saying, I'm 31 and I'm just walking in a new level of confidence. Not arrogance.
Right.
But just confidence. Like, man, like it's okay to say thank you that people are like, man, you can sing, man, God is really like thank you. And I do feel that now.
Right.
I was telling my wife yesterday, I was like, man, that's the first time like I got on Instagram Live and sang, and like I wasn't nervous and wondering what people think and oh, is this good enough, or I don't sound like such and such.
Right.
Are they gonna rock with me? Or, you know, I don't have the latest and greatest equipment. Like one of my things, like if I can't do it perfectly, this just my person. If I can't do it perfectly, I'm not gonna do it. And so that's
a good
another
trait.
part of that.
I mean,
if I don't got, you know, the latest and greatest, or if I don't have it done the way I want it to be done, it's just like, well, I'm not gonna do it. And my wife is like, you just gotta do it. You just gotta do it, and you don't know like the people that are gonna be blessed by you just doing it. And so now I'm at a place where I believe that God is gonna allow me to release some songs and music in the earth, and there's a sound that I believe that I have that, not that it's, you know, never heard before or whatever, but I just think it's a sound that's needed for this time, because I believe that God has given me the unique ability to reach multi-generations. So like you know, a Sunday service, I can get up here and sing a hymn and touch the hearts of the older saints. And then I can sing every Maverick City song in the world, and you know, all the young people, you know, rocking with it. So I just believe that God is allowing me to be a bridge for, you know, multi-generations. And I believe that I'll really be able to get to show that really, really soon. I don't have a time frame, but just really, really soon.
That's good. I got like two more questions.
Yes, I have.
So, Cameron Logan, who would you say, if you can let the people know, like, who is Cameron Logan? After all you've been through, being a PK, now being married, traveling, discovering, you know, things about yourself. Who is Cameron Logan?
Cameron Logan is a young man that has a heart for God, that's trying to continue to grow and mature in God, continue to grow in wisdom and maturity, and love people the way that God loves people. He's a husband, a devoted husband who loves his wife dearly, wants nothing but God's will to be done in his life and his wife's life, and wants nothing more than to continue to help people, like Matthew 15:16 or Matthew 5:16. I always get the, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. It's not so much in, you know, how many lives I touch with me preaching, but it's how many lives I touch with me being who God really called me to be off the pulpit, outside of, you know, the pulpit, because that's where you can really have a deep impact. And, you know, that's just always been my life's goal, is to truly have an impact in people's lives. That's why our youth ministry is called Impact Youth Ministry, because you impact people all the time, whether you think you are or not. So that's who Cameron is. He's continuing to grow and learn and trying to prosper in everything God puts his hand to.
Come on. Go ahead, Pastor Willie.
Last question that I have for you. You made a promise to me. You know where I'm going, right? You made a promise to me when you were younger that as, I don't know, you said it out of innocence, but what you said to me, it meant a lot to me. All right? I got ready to leave here in May of 2000 because of the relationship that we had built. You said to me, man, I want to get me a jet so I can fly you back here to cut my hair. That meant a lot to me. And again, I know you, as I'm sitting here, I'm holding it together. You don't understand how much you touched my life.
That's
and
good.
I want to say that to the public and as my brother, because you know I've always considered you as my brother, and you've made a major impact on my life even as a young man. And then to see you where you are now, and I'm excited about even where you're going, the lives that you're going to impact even more than you have prior to now. And I'm just excited to be a part of your life, bro. And thank you for sharing your life with me, because I could have just been one of those transient guys. Yeah. And I didn't hear what you said before, when you introduced me, before I had that opportunity to minister, until I went back and watched the video. And I felt like that was prophetic, because you didn't know what I was going to say. And for what you said, I felt like you said it from your heart, because you've seen it. You've seen me consistently for almost 24 years. And thanks for being my brother, man.
That's good
Listen,
stuff.
it's so funny that you say that, because every time you all come back, you bring that up. And I remember it like it was yesterday. You know, not too many people came to the house, 2 people to be exact, came to the house to cut our hair. And, you know, me growing up, like haircuts are just always been my, been my thing. Like
They used to be my thing. I remember, no, I'm just
I bet it did used to be yours. But no, on a on a serious note, you know, that Saturday, this is no one's fault. I didn't know you were preaching. I didn't know what was going on until Dad called me that Saturday. Would I've liked to know earlier? Of course, because I manage, you know, a lot of the media stuff here, and you know, I want stuff to be crispy. Right. Whether it's, you know, whether one of the teenagers gonna preach or Bishop Jakes,
right,
or I'll say Bishop Tudor. You can edit that out if you want. And it's like, you know, y'all don't realize. You said something to me Sunday that blessed me, because not too many people ever ask the pastor's son, what can they do for them? Just y'all being consistent. Wow. Just y'all having a heart to want to come, you know, I don't know if you knew you were preaching or not, but just you having a heart to want to come celebrate my dad. He's going to be 61 on the 16th, couple days. Like we don't, that type of consistency is like rare in the church culture. And so for y'all to, you know, for me to see you, you know, as a kid, I don't remember every detail, but, you know, I remember you were in the Navy. You come by the house and hook me and Dad up, and, you know, you were just available. Even to this day, like I've heard sometimes where Dad has had some hard conversations with you. And you, I mean, you may have got offended in that moment. I don't know, but you took it like a son. You took it like I take it. Cause I gotta take it. I can't, you ain't my dad no more. What? That dude loves me.
That's right. That's right. That's good.
My dad says stuff that I don't agree with all the time. And then I go home and God deals with me and I'm like, dog, he right. You know? one of the things that I struggle with, that I know, is sometimes a burden to my dad, is people have a unhealthy fear of him. He's a great guy, super nice. He'll joke with you, but when he's serious, he's serious because he's serious about the kingdom of God.
All right, come on. Yeah.
And he may say something to you that you may not agree with. And I'll say this, it's because, this is no offense to anyone, but people don't know how to have fathers.
That's right.
And so the moment that somebody checks you and says something strong to you,
Come on, man.
your feelings are hurt, and then you leave instead of taking the correction that you need in order for you to go and grow.
Right.
You go and you're offended. And a brother offended is harder to win.
Come on.
And so now you're offended, and now you take your offense and you tell 2 people, and we know bad news travels 10 times faster than good news. So now you're spreading your offense everywhere you go instead of being like a son and taking your lumps on the chest.
That's right.
All the whoopings and beatings that I got growing up, I never once, well, maybe once or twice, I thought he didn't love me, but he continued to show me that he loves me.
That's right.
You weren't trying to get emancipated.
Right.
No. and I've seen the strong core group of men that are pastors under the tutelage of my dad. I've seen you guys be consistent with those tough conversations. And it blesses me because it's like, thank you for being strong.
Right.
And not being weak men that don't,
We've actually had some jokes about it, man, and I could share it. But we've actually got off the phone sometime, and we like, man, did Bishop just rebuke us?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because man, Bishop's amazing, man. And I mean, he does it in such a way where it's to the point, it could be hard, but he loves you. Mm-hmm. And that's why sometimes we kind of confused, like, I think we just got rebuked, right? Like, I think we did. Yeah, we got rebuked, right? And then you stick there, you change because you know his heart. You know he loves you. So, he would always say, man, he would tell me when I was in Okinawa, when I was call him and tell him about people leaving and stuff or whatever, he would say, man, a real son can't leave.
That's right.
He said, remember that. There's no way if you're in a real relationship with somebody, leaving is going to be that easy.
Right.
Nope.
He said, if they can leave that easy, they was never in a relationship with you. He said, I don't care what they tell you, I don't care what they say, because it ain't possible. Right. I was like, okay, I get it. So, man, I mean, just doing this interview, being here has just blessed me, man. I was just telling him, coming around the corner on 27th Street, I said, man, nobody could have told me all those years ago when I got to this church in 2006, being just a brother, man. And then now we coming back to interview you. And then I remember seeing you, man, as a teenager, seeing it. I remember seeing Donnell. And I remember one Sunday, Donnell pushing you. And he was, giving you the mic and you was coming out. And you could tell you was kind of nervous. And then you started singing. And it was like, man, this kid, man, he got it, man. God is all over that kid. That's what I was thinking sitting out there. I was just a brother. And because I was observing everything. And I was just like, wow. And I watched Bishop. And I watched you. And I watched Donnell. And, several different people. But, man, to be back and just be able to sit with you, man, means a lot. I appreciate that.
I appreciate y'all because, as our T-shirts say, we bros for real.
Bros for real.
We bros for real.
Come on, man.
Real sons can't break covenant with their dad.
Come on. And I got to ask this, man, before we close, and we are going to close, but legacy, man. Legacy. Do you think about legacy, or do you feel like it's something that's too early to talk about? Do you think about it, maybe you and Vicky and the family?
I think about legacy all the time. A big thing that kind of hit me was end of 2019. My grandmother passed, and then January came. January or February, I can't remember now. Kobe died in the crash. And I actually taught a message on legacy.
Wow.
They have the whiteboard in the band room with my notes and stuff still on there. And it's like, when you leave this earth, you're going to leave something behind.
Come on. That's right.
And I want my legacy to be known. Like, I want it to be felt. I don't want it to be, oh, well, you know, he sang good, but, you know, he didn't really treat his wife, you know, or he always had nice shoes. Like, no. I want my legacy to be something that is not surface level, but is deeply rooted. And so I think about legacy all the time. Sometimes I think about it too much, because it's like, I get overwhelmed. It's like, man, like, my father-in-law is a great, powerful man of God. My dad's a great, powerful man of God. And then me and Vicky, you know, us being husband and wife, it's like, that's why I believe that God is, or not God, but the enemy has attacked us in the way that he has, with us being able to bring a child into the world, because he knows that our kids are going to wreak havoc on the enemy. Yeah. And so, you know, whenever there's a strong and powerful move of God, there's always strong spiritual warfare that takes place. And so legacy is so important. And it's something that I believe that in the Black community and culture, we need to take more seriously. Legacy, succession, setting the next generation up. Like, why don't we want to set? I have so many, or a number of, you know, PK friends that, you know, they had to leave their dad's church because he didn't want to let go when it was time for him to let go. Right. And you see God's hand is on your son's life. And now your son has to leave in a way that doesn't necessarily help your legacy. Right. You know, set him up, equip him. Right. And not just put him up to preach and stuff but like honor him. Yes. You know, continue to cultivate him. Once you realize, you know, yeah. So legacy is huge, it's big.
That's good.
Man, this has been good, Pastor Willie.
It has been.
I'm so glad we came here, man.
Yeah.
We with Cameron Logan.
Yeah.
So, hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, we're here at Christian Faith Fellowship Church in Zion, Illinois, with our brother Cameron Logan. Keep on tuning in, keep on watching us, and we'll see you next time. Bros for Real Kingdom Focus. Look at us on YouTube.
Before we get out of here, if you could, tell the people how they can get in contact with you.
Follow me on all social media. It's Cameron J. Logan, Cameron, not the ghetto way, Cameron, JLOGAN. All social media, Cameron J. Logan. If you hit my Instagram, my email, if you have any inquiries, my email is there, cam@victoriousmediagroup.com. Or you can reach me on my website, CameronJLogan.com. We also have YouTube, Life with the Logans, a podcast, Everything is We. And yeah, that's it.
All right, Life with the Logans, check it out. Hey, Bros for Real Kingdom Focus on YouTube. Hey, we'll see you next time. Remember, love. Boom.